from the Digital Production Center at Troy University, with news from across America and around the globe. This is Troy TrojanVision Global News.
This is Troy TrojanVision Global News, where we will give you a look at what's happening across the nation and around the world. I'm Sherry Kotzum, and here's what's making the news on April 24th, 2015. Nearly 24 high school students got hurt as a stage collapsed at the end of a high school musical. Andrew Spencer reports the horrible accident was caught on camera.
For many of the parents and classmates attending a high school musical in Indiana, it was a terrifying experience.
It was the finale, everybody was singing, it was the last song, and then you just hear this huge bang, and then all the students disappear.
It just collapsed underneath. There was splintered wood everywhere.
There were mothers crying, dads like standing up, like running up to the stage, make sure their kid was okay. It was, man.
The performance at Indiana's Westfield High School involved about 75 students. As a large group of them danced at the end of the show, part of the stage gave way, injuring nearly 24 of them.
It was over the pit, so it was all empty under there. There was about an 8-foot drop.
I saw my friend like Omar up there, and he was right in front, and I just saw him go down, and just the look on his face was just sheer terror.
First responders took one of the students to the hospital in critical condition, but police say that student is going to be fine.
We'll be investigating right away to look at the cause of what happened here and certainly take every precaution to see that doesn't happen again.
School officials plan to continue holding class today, saying guidance counselors would be on hand to help any of the students that needed it. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
Baltimore's mayor pleads for peace in the wake of anti-police protests. The demonstrations follow the death of a black man in police custody. Stacey Cohan has the story.
As protesters continue to pound the pavement, clashes between the crowds and the cops appear to be growing. A police car was swarmed, objects reportedly launched, and at least 2 people arrested for disorderly conduct and destruction of property. And still, no more details about the death of Freddie Gray.
I've been recording it.
The 25-year-old died Sunday, 1 week after a confrontation with police. At some point, Gray suffered a severe spinal injury which led to his death. A rally set for Saturday centers on demands for information and arrests.
His dead body is right now ready to be buried and ready to be funeralized and memorialized. And still, the mayor of this city can't even get a report from her own police department.
The big question surrounds this van and what happened inside it that left Gray in a coma. The Baltimore Police Department has suspended 6 officers and promised to wrap up a preliminary investigation by next Friday. Baltimore Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake has asked for an independent investigation.
I recognize that there's frustration over this investigation, but I want to be clear. There is a process, and we have to respect that process.
A process that is unfolding far too slowly for many. I'm Stacey Cohan reporting.
We're learning more about the woman who died after eating food poisoned with botulism at a church potluck. More than a dozen others got sick on Sunday. Kevin Lander spoke to the woman who is coping with the sudden loss of her friend.
Inside the food pantry at Somerset Methodist Church, Betty Swankhammer remembers getting a phone call.
The news hit me when I was sitting here in this room at a meeting at Tuesday night.
The news wasn't good.
And I went numb, totally, unbelievably numb, because she was a dear friend.
Her friend, Kim Shaw, she had learned had died after what doctors suspected was food tainted with botulism.
And it's just heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking, she says, because Kim was
a jolly, happy person all the time, very loving.
Kim and her husband Chris were married at the church. Kim worshiped here for 41 years before moving to Cross Point Free Baptist Church in Lancaster. Betty says Kim was a valuable volunteer.
We packed many military boxes together.
Betty says faith was important to Kim and her mother Charlene. Both ate food at the church potluck dinner.
Church was very important. Her mother taught Sunday school here. She taught Bible school here.
The alleged food poisoning at this church is already changing minds about church potlucks. This church is preparing for its potluck in July, and Betty says the food will be scrutinized.
I think we will probably have to ask what's in this. How did you make it?
Would that question save the life of Kim Shaw or prevented others from getting sick? There's no telling. For now, those at Kim Shaw's former church are mourning the loss of a good friend.
She was a good lady, and I'll deeply miss her.
Two hostages and an American are dead after a U.S. operation went wrong. We'll have that and more here on Trojan Vision Global News.
With more news from across the nation and around the globe, Troy Trojan Vision will return in 2 minutes.
If you store your guns properly, I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
And I won't have to tell my kids. This isn't a drill.
Please.
Please, do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always, lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
When you're out there, there's no telling what you'll find.
I see it, I see it! Oh, look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Why is my son having trouble in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with my son over his homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No. He's smart, but his mind wanders.
7 wonders of the world.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
This is Dr. Daniel Smith. He's an expert in domestic and international economics. But his proudest achievement is connecting with his students and helping them accomplish more than they ever thought possible. That's the warrior spirit, and it's alive and well at Troy University. Feel it at troy.edu/spirit.
Keeping you up to date with news from around the globe, this is Troy Trojan Vision Global News.
President Obama is apologizing for a U.S. counterterrorism operation that left 2 al-Qaeda hostages dead, among them an American aid worker. Paulo Sandoval reports from Washington.
A statement of deep apology from the nation's commander-in-chief.
I take full responsibility for all our counterterrorism operations, including the one that inadvertently took the lives of Warren and Giovanni. I profoundly regret what happened.
President Obama pulled back the curtain on previously classified U.S. counterterrorism operations that targeted an al-Qaeda compound in January. Several U.S. officials tell CNN U.S. military drones were used in the strikes near the Afghan-Pakistani border. 2 Americans who were senior al-Qaeda operatives were killed in the attacks, so were 2 hostages, Italian national Giovanni Laporto and American Dr. Warren Weinstein. The 73-year-old aid worker was kidnapped by al-Qaeda in 2011.
And we do believe that the operation did take out dangerous members of al-Qaeda. What we did not know, tragically, is that al-Qaeda was hiding the presence of Warren and Giovanni in this same compound.
Dr. Weinstein's wife, Elaine, is expressing her disappointment with both the U.S. and Pakistani governments in a prepared statement. She blames her husband's kidnappers, though, saying, quote, "Those who took Warren captive over 3 years ago bear ultimate responsibility. I can assure you that he would still be alive and well if they had allowed him to return home after his time abroad, working to help the people of Pakistan." The White House is launching a review of the strikes, so are lawmakers. They hope to reduce the risk of more innocent bloodshed. Reporting in Washington, I'm Polo Sandoval.
There were angry outbursts and cries for justice as a judge ordered 4 Minnesota suspects to stay in jail until their trial on terror charges. The men are among a group of 6 accused of trying to join ISIS overseas. Esme Murphy reports.
As the 4 young men were led out of the courtroom, supporters cried out justice, and some of the suspects pumped their fists. As the crowd left, there were more emotional outbursts. This woman is the grandmother of 2 of the suspects.
Please, we need help. Somali community, they need help.
Another woman said the government should do more to prevent terror recruiting.
Who is behind all this? There is somebody who are behind, but who is behind? We need to find out.
But the government today argued that the evidence shows that the men were recruiting each other. An FBI agent testified that the conversations taped by the confidential informant show that even after the suspects had been stopped from getting on planes with the intent to get to Syria and join ISIS, they kept trying. An imam explained many in the community believed the young men were set up and that they are innocent.
Majority of the community were expecting those young people would be released because they did not show any threat to the public safety while they were here.
South Africans and foreign nationals are uniting to say enough is enough. They want the xenophobic attacks on the immigrants to stop. The demand came during a huge demonstration today in Johannesburg. CNN's Diana Magnay was in the crowd and has this report.
Thousands of people out on the streets of Johannesburg from numerous African countries, of course from South Africa. I've also seen people from China and Pakistan here to register their disgust at the xenophobic violence that has gripped this nation over the past couple of weeks, prompted in part by comments by the Zulu King, who said that foreigners should go home, comments that he has distanced himself from, told his people to protect foreigners, and yet people here on the streets fear that this kind of violence may just surge again and needs to be rooted out of South African society once and for all.
You can't be a leader in a community and start inciting violence like that, and at the end of the day you run away from it and you say it's not your responsibility or you're not responsible for it.
It's not something that can be overcome overnight. We need to, intensify the teachings of African history in our schools.
The voice from the streets, marching feet, organized civil society with the working class. We will prevail, we will overcome.
The government, whilst strongly condemning xenophobia in this country, has said that it will do what it can to address the grievances that underline this anti-foreigner sentiment. It is also sending the police and the troops into various, as it calls, hotspots. So far the hostels in Jeppestown and in Alexandria here to try and root out the criminal elements. Diana Magnay, CNN, Johannesburg.
One of the biggest video sharing sites had its 10th anniversary yesterday. We'll have more on that after the break.
With more news from across the nation and around the globe, Troy Trojan Vision will return in 2 minutes.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Huntington!
Every proper bear knows that the right fit means everything. Especially when it comes to car seats.
Oh, really? I just did what any bear would do.
So know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size.
I like it.
To learn more, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Oh, hello there.
Oh, where's that bear?
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed our own.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
When I was in foster care,
I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Now, news for your life from Troy TrojanVision Global News.
Megachurch pastor Creflo Dollar is defending his fundraising campaign to purchase a $65 million luxury jet to spread the gospel. In a newly posted 5-minute clip on YouTube, the Atlanta area pastor speaks to his followers at World Changers Church International about his critics.
I can believe God as long as I want to. If I want to believe God for a $65 million plane, you cannot stop me. You cannot stop me from dreaming. Now you see why the devil tried so aggressively to discredit my voice. Creflo Dollar asking his members for $65 million. I ain't never asked you for a dime.
Plane's 30 years old. I knew it was time to begin to believe God for a new airplane.
Our current ministry plane is no longer usable. We need your help. And I ask all of our partners globally to get on board with Project G650.
If they discover life on Mars, if you think a $65 million plane was too much, if they discover that there's life on Mars, they gonna need to hear the gospel, and I'm gonna have to believe God for $1 billion space shuttle because we got to preach the gospel on Mars.
Temperatures are heating up, and for many of us, that means playing in the water. Many folks just dive in head first with disastrous consequences. That one bad decision could affect the rest of your life. Holly Furfer explains in today's Health Minute.
Here we've moved on to Slovakia and Bratislava, the capital.
30-year-old Chase Jones reminisces about his travels after college graduation. Chase is now paralyzed. His life changed in an instant.
I had just received an invitation from a friend one evening on a Friday night to go hang out with a group that was having a little grill outside the pool in the backyard. My last memory before the accident was kind of walking away from the group up towards the pool, and you know, the next memory I have, I woke up underwater in the pool and couldn't move my body.
He had broken his neck. Dr. Murray was one of Chase's surgeons. He says men ages 20 to 29 are most at risk for a diving injury. And it's not just accidents in swimming pools.
A lot of the injuries occur from kids running out into the ocean and diving into waves. So you may be diving right into a sandbar where the wave is breaking. We've had people get to the end of the water slide and still going fast enough that they hit the barrier at the end of the slide and break a neck. You never do anything head first around the water. Always enter feet first, no matter how you enter the water. Feet first every time.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Holly Furfer.
Yesterday marked 10 years since the first video was uploaded to YouTube. A decade later, people all over the world watch millions of hours of video, generating billions of views. And the most popular YouTube channels draw a larger audience than many TV networks. CNN's Will Ripley visits a studio in Japan where YouTube is trying to improve the quality of its content one video at a time.
Action! Action! And action!
We're on the set of a new sci-fi horror film.
It's called The Crawler in the Dark.
Set more than 100 years ago in Japan's Meiji era.
But you are different.
This movie isn't coming to theaters, it's coming to YouTube.
YouTube is not, only cats and dogs on skateboards anymore. It's a place for great content, great high-quality content.
David McDonald runs this YouTube space in Tokyo, one of 5 worldwide, offering partners of the video-sharing website free studio use and training.
Helping creators find better audiences, more audiences, and just improve their craft.
Anyone can create a YouTube channel. The most popular, 25-year-old Swedish gamer PewDiePie, has more than 36 million subscribers. YouTube has 300 hours of video uploads per minute. The website wants more of those videos to be polished productions like this. Dressing room, right? They provide hair, makeup, even professional costumes. Getting into this kimono takes about 10 minutes.
Look at the stone. Look at it.
Film and TV company Toei is partnering with YouTube to encourage more Japanese samurai dramas called jidaigeki. They hope to attract new subscribers in one of YouTube's biggest markets.
They're building sets. We have high-quality cameras, high-quality editing, high-quality actors.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
Bob Worley and Masahito Kawahata hope higher quality work will appeal to more of YouTube's 1 billion monthly users.
It's going to raise the bar.
Action! And possibly raise money. Thousands of the most popular YouTube creators earn 6-figure incomes through ad revenue and sponsorships. A handful make millions.
Pushing our boundaries further than we ever have before. We're doing visual effects that we've never tried before.
J.R. Lipartito says expensive period sets like this used to be out of reach for indie filmmakers like him.
It really breaks down the barriers.
And he says it makes the quality of his work better.
Excellent, excellent.
Something even more important to these artists than making the next viral video.
And cut.
Will Ripley, CNN, Tokyo.
Is she in the shot? Right. Oh, okay, yeah, a little bit, not so noticeable.
An Arkansas high school is refusing to crown its most recent prom queen. Next on Troy, TrojanVision Global News.
With more news from across the nation and around the globe, Troy TrojanVision will return in 2 minutes.
When you're out there, there's no telling what you'll find.
I see it! I see it! Oh, look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
The warrior spirit, it's in there. Always has been. Now let it out and take the world by fire. Train well and learn what it means to be a Troy Trojan. Walk with confidence, conquer, claim territory, and climb ladders. Know that you have the power to stand alone, but the comfort of knowing that you'll never have to. Discover your inner warrior. Find it at troy.edu/spirit.
Keeping you up to date with news from around the globe, this is Troy TrojanVision Global News.
The stars of one of the summer's most anticipated movies have hit a couple of roadblocks on their promotional tour. Mary Maloney breaks down the awkward interviews in today's Hollywood Minute.
The Avengers can battle robots and alien gods, but the actors who portray them are having trouble with the media.
Bye.
Robert Downey Jr. walked out of an interview when the reporter turned to his troubled past. Meanwhile, 2 of Downey's co-stars are facing backlash for their response to a question about female Avenger Black Widow.
She's a slut. I was going to say something along that line. It's complete horror.
Reps for Jeremy Renner and Chris Evans both issued apologies, calling the joke offensive and tasteless. David Letterman is getting a primetime send-off. CBS is planning a 90-minute special, looking back at his journey from local TV weatherman to late show host. The special will air May 4th. Letterman's final show airs 2 weeks later on May 20th. Now is your chance to get behind the wheel of one of the souped-up cars from the original Fast and Furious film. The 1993 Toyota Supra, driven by late actor Paul Walker, is going up for auction on May 16th. It's expected to sell for as much as $200,000. For Hollywood Minute, I'm Mary Maloney.
A high school senior ran for prom queen and beat out everyone for the title, but the school is refusing to give him the honor. Daniel Armbruster reports.
With the days winding down until Mason Coupler wants the stage to receive his diploma, the Rogers High senior wanted to make a point to his lower classmen before it's too late.
I hope they know that this is a safe place, and I hope they know that this is a place where you can be who you are and still be successful.
Unaware of how he was going to leave his mark in high school history, it became clear when he was talking with his group of friends about LGBT issues and how many of the students at their school were dealing with issues around sexuality.
We were talking about transsexuals and people who have been in transition and been victims of hate crimes and didn't feel supported even in their home lives or communities, and so they committed suicide. And we kind of, my friend group and I, we wanted a way to kind of bring attention to that.
And attention he certainly got. In the week leading up to prom, the 18-year-old decided he was going to run for not king, but for prom queen.
There were so many people who were positive about it.
In fact, when the big night finally came, Mason received the most votes for prom queen.
I knew how strongly Mason felt about it, and so I was really happy that he was doing it, and I definitely voted for him.
Delaney Large, a junior, says most of her classmates wanted to support Mason.
You could definitely hear people saying, hey, let's go vote, and then when you got over there, people saying, let's vote for Mason.
When Mason realized he had won, he says the school did not give him the prom queen's crown. Instead, he received the king's crown, and in the end, the high school staff called him prom royalty.
People who were against it were either restricted by the fact that their opinion was unpopular and just the fact that they may be cowards.
Still, Mason says he opened new doors for LGBT students at his school and believes he's leaving Rogers High a better place than when he found it.
And whether you like it or not, they're going to be here and you should support them because they're just being genuine to who they really are.
We've got a great video of a moose on the run, lip-singing cops, and flying tacos. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
A moose on the loose led officers in Boise, Idaho on a chase Thursday. The 2-year-old moose was spotted hoofing it through a park. Authorities say it wasn't the first time this moose has made its way into the city.
I'm pretty sure this is the moose we moved from Warm Springs Golf Course behind Albertsons last year because it had the green ear tag.
The repeat offender was tranquilized and taken back to the mountains. And speaking of repeat offenders, the lip-syncing cop is at it again. Now he's with his partner in crime fighting, but this time they're not lip-syncing.
You already know.
The dashcam video showed the duo singing and rapping a medley of pop songs for more than 5 minutes. And watch out for flying tacos. The University of Nebraska at Omaha teamed up with a local taco shop to create a cannon that will shoot tacos into the stands during sporting events. The owner of Voodoo Tacos says the tacos are edible, but warns the foil-wrapped meals may not make it to fans undamaged. In other words, be prepared for messy munchies. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
And that wraps things up for us here on Trojan Vision Global News. For a look at what's going on a little closer to home, stay tuned for Troy Trojan Vision Nightly News. I'm Sherry Kotzum. Thanks for joining us.
Stay tuned for more news after this on Troy Trojan Vision.